Megalon is a giant insect kaiju who first appeared in the 1973 Toho Godzilla film Godzilla vs. Megalon. The guardian of the underground kingdom of Seatopia, Megalon was unleashed upon the surface world after repeated nuclear tests had ravaged Seatopia. Megalon surfaced in Japan and attacked Tokyo, guided by the stolen robot Jet Jaguar. However, Jet Jaguar was soon freed from the Seatopians' control and turned against Megalon. Gigan arrived to aid Megalon, but the two monsters were sent retreating after Godzilla joined Jet Jaguar in battle. To date, Megalon has only made a single feature film appearance, but has remained a popular monster nonetheless, appearing in countless Godzilla video games, along with manga and comic books. Despite being an underground creature, Megalon is noticeably colorful, combining silver and gray tusks and claws with an orange and black carapace and wings. Megalon's forelimbs terminate with two sharp, drill-like appendages, which are never seen to be individually prehensile, at least in Godzilla vs. Megalon, always moving in tune with the monster's arms. Megalon is sometimes considered one of the least intelligent Toho kaiju. This is demonstrated by the fact that he is easily manipulated by external stimuli. For example, Megalon followed Jet Jaguar simply because he was curious, and he is also very temperamental, as seen when he goes into shock when he loses sight of Jet Jaguar and begins to jump and thrash about. His battle tactics also seem to be lacking in terms of strategy, as he never once utilizes his lightning horn beam against Godzilla nor Jet Jaguar. Additionally, he seems to enjoy charging at both his enemies head first, although all said enemies had to do was simply step out of the way to avoid him. Despite his apparent lack of skill when fighting alone, Megalon does demonstrate some intelligence when working as a team with other monsters, as with Gigan by his side. He was able to handle Godzilla and Jet Jaguar with some proficiency until the duo drove Gigan away. It is highly likely that without Gigan's assistance, he would not have lasted nearly as long as he did during the final confrontation. Megalon is a gigantic insectoid being that lives deep underground in the subterranean kingdom of Seatopia. Megalon is seen as the Seatopians' god, and is called upon by them to defend their home from threats. Megalon mostly retains this origin in the Godzilla vs. Megalon short film, though his status as a god and the identity of the civilization he coexists with remain unconfirmed. He is first seen encased in stone, emerging after energy from Gigan Rex's carcass is transferred into him. The inspiration for Megalon came from Gabara, a giant mole cricket kaiju that was conceptualized as the villain for All Monsters Attack. During production, Gabara was reworked into a mutant toad and renamed Gabara. The original concept for Gabara was revived during production of the 13th Godzilla film, with its design reworked and rechristened Megalon, a name originally used for a kaiju from the unmade 1972 Godzilla film Godzilla vs. the Space Monsters, Earth Defense Directive, who would have fought alongside Gigan and King Ghidorah under the command of the evil alien brain Miko against Godzilla, Anguirus, and the living statue Majin Toll. In Shinichi Sekizawa's draft for this film, Megalon was described as moving quickly and expelling a gaseous smog from its body, while in Keiru Mabuchi's treatment he was said to possess eyes on the ends of his antennae. The designs of Megalon and Jet Jaguar are often attributed to illustrator Akihiko Iguchi. 6. However, Iguchi has denied having any involvement in Godzilla vs. Megalon, leaving the true identity of the monster's designers a mystery. Megalon's design was inspired by a combination of several different kinds of insects. According to special effects director Teruyoshi Nakano, his face was based on the Japanese rhinoceros beetle, his body after cicadas, and his movements after grasshoppers, despite standing upright. Originally, Nakano wanted for the monster to be based on a dragonfly, and ladybugs were also briefly considered, but he ultimately settled on the Japanese rhinoceros beetle, possibly to cash in on their popularity among children at the time. Early concept art for Megalon, which was ultimately deemed no good, featured the monster with differently shaped horns and a much brighter, red and orange color scheme. Megalon's suit was a collaboration between modelers Nobuyuki Yasumaru and the then newly hired Tomoki Kobayashi, who was responsible for its drill arms. Megalon was portrayed by Hideo Date, though he is often confused in production photos for Kenpachiro Satsuma, 6, who himself portrayed Gigan in both Godzilla vs. Gigan and Godzilla vs. Megalon. The suit's horn was constructed of resin, the eyes of acrylic, 8, and the drills and mouth of FRP, 9. Additionally, the suit's back shell was made from a rigid urethane, which was also used for Kamakura's several years prior, 8, and later for Rodden's wings in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, 9. Megalon's antennae appear strikingly similar to those of the Garogas, the alien antagonists of the 1973 television series Zone Fighter, which aired its first episode just months after the theatrical release of Godzilla vs. Megalon. This is due to Nobuyuki Yasumaru handling the modeling of both characters and employing similar techniques in each. 9. Megalon's suit was the heaviest one to be created by Toho up to that point, and because of this, the scenes where the monster performs several leaps through the air was exceedingly difficult on the special effects crew, with Teruyoshi Nakano reportedly getting so frustrated during filming that the scenes were nearly cut entirely. Ultimately, the jumps were simulated by a number of crew members who were standing in the studio rafters repeatedly hoisting the suit and its actor up and down. The suit was allegedly very difficult for Hideo Date to hear out of, and therefore a whistle had to be blown by one of the assistant directors to notify him of when to jump. In addition to the suit, a one-shaku, Japanese foot, 10, model of Megalon was also created for flying scenes. Despite being an underground creature, Megalon is noticeably colorful, combining silver and gray tusks and claws with an orange and black carapace and wings. Megalon's forelimbs terminate with two sharp, drill-like appendages, which are never seen to be individually prehensile, at least in Godzilla vs. Megalon, always moving in tune with the monster's arms.